Hello again, and welcome to I Am Not Very Good at Video Games. I'm playing KSP again because I was going to play something else, but then I thought, I'll play this. Now, I've bought some things. Survivability, because radial mount parachutes and service bays are nice, and advanced rocketry, because the LV909 Terrier is really good, and this size fuel tank is kind of good as well. I also did a couple of contracts where I tested things at the launch site, just because it's super easy. So now I am trying to get into orbit, which shouldn't be too hard, but we'll see. Ignore this ship. That is a bad ship. Right, so basically an issue I always run into is when the time comes and I've done my orbit and I've come back to the planet, everything's looking fine and dandy. I shouldn't do that. I then realize that I take the contract for going to the moon, doing a flyby. Nice and easy. Right? Wrong. Because I am bad at video games. You should remember this. We've talked about it. I guess I say I'm not very good. Either way. So the big issue is, I get up there, everything's going great, I fly by the moon, and I can't get back to the planet. Part of the reason is that I run out of electric charge, which is a bad idea. And another part is I probably don't take enough fuel, and I probably approach the moon from the wrong side, and reasons. So right, I can fit more weight on this, which I am going to do. This isn't going to be the most efficient way of doing things because I don't have radial decouplers as of yet. Those are too heavy. But I'm just going to slap a couple of those on there. Maybe I'll slap a couple of those on a couple of those. That could be fun. Too heavy. Okay, I won't do that. This is just to give it a bit of a kick off the ground. The swivel is going to give us quite a lot of steering capability, so that's going to be nice. I'm not going to be able to drop these once they're empty, so I'm just going to be dragging their empty weight up a reasonable distance, which isn't the best thing, but hopefully it won't be too much of a setback. Alright, I should do these things. Yep, that's all good. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out into deeper space between Kerbal and the Mun, I guess you say it, and then I'm going to come back, and hopefully with the science that I gain it'll be enough to unlock batteries and get us to do a flyby of the moon a bit more safely. So yeah, that's the plan. Whether it works or not, who knows, but I'm going to give it a go. Now, that was too steep of a lean over right at the start there. But, there's worse things to do. So, I'm going to start increasing in speed as the atmosphere gets thinner, because it does get thinner as you go. So you speed up, because there's less resistance. So I'm just going to keep slowing down, because it's more efficient until you're above about 10,000 meters to stay under 200 meters a second surface speed. I mean, it's a gradient, but basically that's a good rule of thumb. So I'm going to try and stay around 170, 180, 190, whatever. And I'm going to try and keep my velocity vector there. Not velocity, yeah, that's my velocity vector, that's where I'm going. That's where I'm pointing, that's where I'm going, yeah. On that 90-degree mark, because I don't want to lean over past that. So now, probably speed up to closer to 300. I can point a bit more where I'm going. But still, don't want to go too fast, because I'm still in atmosphere. I'm probably explaining this wrong. In fact, I know I'm explaining this wrong, but I'm not a physicist. I'm not like Scott Manley or whatever. Anyway, full thrust now, because I'm far enough out of the atmosphere that drag isn't as big an issue anymore. So you can see our apoapsis is getting up there, so that's good, and we're also on a nice gentle arc out of the atmosphere. This stage is going to run out of fuel reasonably soon. Hopefully it'll get us above 70, but I don't know, it didn't, but that's not really a big deal either, because this stage has enough fuel that it should easily do that, because this engine is very efficient, especially in zero gravity. So yeah, it's already pushed us up, I think, another 10k, which is pretty good. And yeah, this is pushing our arc out even more because we've leaned over a long way. So really, we just want to poke just outside the atmosphere. We don't want to like end up a super long way outside, because that's just wasteful. As soon as you're out over 70, you're safe, because usually I go a bit higher, 75 or so, because there's no drag up there, obviously. Because unlike Earth, there's a defined border in this game, because that's just how life works. Games can't be wholly realistic at this stage in human development. So, now that I'm outside the atmosphere, I'm just going to burn prograde to stretch our arc out far enough that it wraps all the way around the planet. Because that's all an orbit is. You're just falling towards the planet, but also falling sideways fast enough that you don't hit the planet, because it moves out of the way before you get there. So once I've done this, there's the periapsis. That is, the apoapsis is our furthest point from the planet. Periapsis is our closest point to the planet on our orbit. So we have reached orbit. Hooray! So now we can go back to the Space Center, see if there's any contracts for things in orbit. There is not. You want to be careful when you're cancelling contracts as well, because it does chip away at your reputation. I will take this fly by the moon one, whatever. I'm not going to do it as of yet, but it's a handy one to have. Science starter, that's a good one. That'll do. I was hoping to get the return from orbit one, but you know, beggars can't be choosers. So now, what we want to do is go to the periapsis and then burn prograde to push this out here somewhere. We don't have loads of fuel, so I'll have to be a bit careful, because we still need to get back The reason I'm doing it at prograde is because that is the closest point, so it takes gives you benefits from the O-berth effect, which I don't understand well enough to explain, but if you look it up, it's a science thing. I think 400 might be enough to do it. I'll push it out to 5. We'll see if that does it, and I guess if it doesn't do it, we'll just burn some more. But yeah, so if we continue in our orbit, we can speed up more because we're further away from the planet. Hooray. Right. And now that we're out here, we'll find out. We'll do a crew report. Yes, high in space over Kerbal. This is what we wanted. Do a mystery goo, observe a materials bay, get lots of science. Actually, with that crew report, if we transmit it, we'll complete one of our contracts right away. It'll drain a lot of our battery power, but that doesn't matter, we've got enough. We will also do an EVA, get an EVA report, fly around and get our various bits of science which we're going to dump in space, because they won't be coming back with us. Right, so now I'm going to go back to the Space Center and see if I can get that return from orbit contract. Hopefully, no. Well, we could test that. That's easy. We could test that really quickly, in fact. So they just want us to test this engine. Again, no thrust at the spacebar, done, recover vessel. Just straight up funds, reputation. Yeah, I don't think it's going to give it to us. Nope, it's not going to do it. So, just zip back to this guy. He's still up near the apoapsis. And so what we're going to do now, I'm just going to point the ship retrograde. So backwards, that's prograde, so that's not helpful. He was already pointing basically retrograde. So we want to bring our periapsis down, so it's just inside the atmosphere by a few K, and then we'll swing back around to where the periapsis is, and we'll bring the apoapsis down, and that should slow us down enough that we fall back to the planet, because that's what we're trying to do. Yeah, so I'll just do a little bit of a burn now. I mean, I guess it's better to do it on the other side of the periapsis, because you could technically just smash yourself into the planet doing it this way, but if you're on the other side of the periapsis, you're heading up, which means you're less likely to smash yourself into the planet. So we're bringing our apoapsis down and down and down. Periapsis is dropping as well, but if we were doing it on the other side, it would be dropping in a more drastic, like it would still be dropping, so we would be getting lower and lower into the atmosphere. Whereas this way, we're going to pop back out and then pop back in. In fact, we're going to pop out pretty soon, and then wind resistance will take care of the rest. We can close that. Okay, we're in space, so we can do bigger time acceleration. Not that big though, because we're pretty close still. Okay, so we're dropping in. If I was being super technical about this, I'd want to land as close as I could to the Space Center so I get maximum fun return, but I'm not that worried about it. So we're in atmosphere again. This is dropping, this is dropping. Hopefully we get enough wind resistance, well, atmospheric resistance, to... oh, see, I've run out of battery power on my ship, which is part of the issue that I have. So, the Z engine creates no power. I could fire it if I wanted to and control the ship with it, but it's a bit tricky, as you can see. Oh, that just flipped. That means, yep, both of these are in atmosphere. So I think at this stage I'm just going to ditch that stage. Forgot I was time accelerating, but that's fine. And we'll let the atmosphere do what it will, and if all goes according to plan, it will slow us down enough that we can deploy our chutes and not die. So that's fun times. This is a slightly slow and painful part of the game, but you know, if you like that sort of thing, you like that sort of thing. What did I click on there? So we're getting heating effects. We should be going slow enough that the heat shielding on the pod is enough, is sufficient to our needs. Could have put a heat shield on, but didn't. That is potentially very bad. Could... oh, thank goodness. Okay. So we're safe, but only just. So note to self, next time heat shield. Oh man, we're really close to the KSC. That's pretty great. Alright, I'm going to do the parachutes early because we're up near the mountains. So we're going to get to the ground sooner. And this is actually going to allow me to do a little bit more science as well. Because when I land, finally, actually, I should quickly do a crew report. Flying over the grasslands, hooray hooray. I can do an EVA. For that, I can take and store the data. I can do another EVA report. I can get on board and do another crew report. They're just little bits of science, but it's little bits add up to a lot. So now I have 128 science, so that's pretty fantastic. That means I can buy lots of things. But that's gonna do it for this episode. If you watched this far, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.